going on, y'all? Sam the Jeep guy here. So it's been a minute. Been pretty busy with work. Finally got some time off. So today we're getting back to work on Big Rhonda. Today's plan is to swap in the overdrive unit, put all that stuff back together. That way I can drive it, take it down the road, test it, make sure it all works correctly. And then maybe tomorrow, or even this afternoon if I get this done quick enough. I just have to cut a hole in the floor for the shifter, and boom, the four-wheel drive swap is complete. So I'm going to show y'all real quick what I'm talking about with the overdrive section, what all I have to swap. So let's get in the shed full of parts here. All right. So I'm gonna put some kitty litter in here. And some wheels. Well, my wheels were out. So. All right, as y'all can see, I've got a lot of random junk. So if anybody needs any Jeep parts, holler at me. I've got some. So anyway, here is the transmission out of the parts Jeep. This dipstick tube is like completely ripped, so it's no good. That's junk. This little section right here is what I'm talking about. This is the overdrive section. It comes loose right there. And on the one I've already got on the green Jeep, Big Rhonda, instead of having this big, huge place right here where you can bolt something to it, it just tapers down into a cone. So everything I've read says I can just swap this onto the other one, put the transfer case on, drive shafts, boom, we're four-wheel drive. So that's what I'm going to work on today. They said the hardest part about swapping this in, this thing only weighs like 30 pounds, it's not heavy, is right in here. I'm not going to take it loose so I don't get so nasty. But there is a rod that goes right in through there, and you have to get that lined up correctly. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. I believe I can get that in pretty easy. As long as I can get that in, transfer case on, drive shafts in, and test drive it, make sure it still shifts into overdrive and all that good stuff, then we're golden. This is the only part of the whole swap that I'm a little bit concerned with, because I'm actually going into the transmission, and I've never ever been inside an automatic transmission before. But I did practice a lot on this one, and I think I've got it figured out. So we're gonna get this, I'm gonna go get my gloves, get this loaded up, transfer case loaded up, nuts and bolts, brackets, stuff like that. We're gonna haul it up here to the house, and we're gonna get started.
All right, so here's what we're dealing with. This is what I was talking about, the cone. And you can see the bolts way up there. So we gotta take those loose, get this whole section off here, and then we'll put in the overdrive section, transfer case. Believe the drive shafts are the same length, but if not, I saved the old drive shafts. They're good, got good U-joints and stuff in them. But I just take a moment to appreciate how clean it is under here. I mean, good night, look at that. Got the pan gasket leaking a little bit on the transmission, but that's no big deal, we can fix that later. Just want to get all these hard parts in. So first I gotta take this drive shaft loose, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all. So got the drive shaft out. I finally figured out a way to get y'all underneath here. That's awesome. So drive shaft's out. You need to make sure that you support the transmission, because once you take this cross member out, you have the engine mounts, and that's it. If you don't have the transmission supported, it's gonna work its way down like that, and that fan will go right into your radiator. Now, luckily for me, I do have a brand new radiator, just in case. I got it out of the parts Jeep. It was brand new when my dad put it in. So if I do pop a hole in it, I've got another radiator. But I used some jack stands. I got one on the bell housing, one back here on the pan. I'm gonna watch that closely and make sure that I don't crush the pan. It shouldn't, but just in case it does, you just don't want anything on this tail shaft part, or the tail cone, whatever you want to call it, because you have to take that loose. So you don't want any weight on that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this cross member here, and then I'm going to take the bolts loose from the overdrive section. I'm going to pull the cross member and overdrive section all out at once, and then I'm going to get it outside where I can work on it and put my different mounts, because this mount's completely different from what goes on the transfer case. So we're going to drop this cross member real quick and see what happens.
Do we need to get this out?
No.
And it's not even hot.
Let's see. Okay, now the people can see what we're talking about. All right, let me work my way back down here. Okay, y'all. So, see, I got the cross member out. I used a jack to kind of hold up on it to make it easier pulling the bolts out. Lowered it down. I got a jack stand with a big block of wood here on the pan, so it kind of dispersed that weight a little bit better, distributed it better. It's looking good. So now, for the fun part, we got to take all these bolts loose and shimmy that piece off there. So, for this, you'll want wrenches. I'm going with a 3/8. Okay, bigger than a 3/8. That's smaller than a half. So it's got to be an 11. That's the thing. This generation of vehicle is, some of it was standard, some of it was metric. All depends. So everybody, 11 millimeter, which you never use on hardly anything else. That's what gets this overdrive section off.
Is there anything I can reach out?
Not right now. You can just watch and learn. Okay. We're back. So what I learned is I've got to pull this shift cable off and shift the transmission into first gear before I pull this loose. I believe it just pops off there. It's going a little bit, maybe. So we can pop it there with a hammer. There we go. Yep, it just pops off there. So pull that loose. Shift the transmission into first gear. Can I not do it with this shifter? Let's see here. Not because that's the wrong one. I think that's the shift linkage right there. Oh, that's the kickdown cable. See if I can't just do it. Oh, so I did want to add that all the information I'm getting on here is off of the forum website, Mile Crawling 4x4. The guy that did all this, his username is DJ Jordash or something like that. Kind of like the britches. He's the one that did the write-up on this, and it's very, very detailed. But I'm visual, so there we go. That might be why it's not wanting to come off there so easy. I didn't even notice that. All right, no big deal. Oh, All right, everybody. So, turned out I need to take that off the bear because the exhaust hangs on it. That's why it wasn't wanting to move so well. Now, I got all the bolts out. This might make a mess. So, we're gonna just very gently pull it back. Maybe. Oh. Whew. Well, after some tapping and a lot more wiggling, I got it loose. It's gonna turn quite a bit now. So let's get some tools out of the way. Put that pan there, so maybe it'll catch a lot of it. There ain't much that came out of there, actually. I better check this transmission, make sure it's actually got enough. A good thing I brought 2 quarts of it. And by the way, has anybody noticed the price of dang oil and stuff lately? Like, I know, you know, gas prices go up, stuff like that, but usually like a quart of oil or transmission fluid or something like that, it don't go up that much, if at all. But I paid, it was like almost $9 a freaking quart for some ATF. And maybe it's always been that high, I doubt it, but I just noticed that today. I was like, good night. That thing ain't doing a transmission service today. Woo, got a bunch more come out of the bag. All right, let's pull this puppy off here. There we go. Oh, what's that? You are not supposed to come up here. You are supposed to stay way up yonder. You're supposed to stay just like that. All right, let's get this thing dragged out. All right, everybody. So here's what I got laid out here. 4-wheel drive section, 4-wheel drive overdrive section, transfer case. This is the 2-wheel drive overdrive. And you can see where this is basically the same as that, but you can't take it apart right there and put a transfer case on, so they put that little extra bit. So it makes me believe that the drive shaft should be fine, but I'm not 100% sure. Good thing I saved the old ones. Let's see. One thing I was worried about was if this was going to be a correct match, and it's looking identical to it. Yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. So that was a little bit of a bear to get out. I had to kind of tap it with a hammer, and I finally got it pulled out of there. That is going to be fun to put on, but it shouldn't be so bad. I don't know. If we don't know it unless we do, it should be good. So after I get this done and I put it all back together, I'm gonna take y'all on the test drive with me. And this is the pinnacle of the whole project. This is the part I've been worried about since I decided to do this project. If I do this and my transmission's messed up, I've got a problem. If it works out and it's fine, then man, we have pulled it off. So after this, it's just shift linkages, paint, wheels, tires, boom, it's done. I mean, I'll throw on like a CB and just little bitty things like that, radio stuff, but this is the biggest part of this whole project. So I'm really hoping this is working. I've been praying that it's gonna work. So right now, the good Lord has given me a little bit of shade with some cloud cover. So let's get to it until it gets hot again. Awkward maybe? I don't know. All right, I should be recording now. This is the part that everybody said was gonna be a pain in the butt to do. I don't know why that's off like it is. That just doesn't seem right. twist it around a little bit. I don't know if it's supposed to lock in. Dang, it's sharp. I know that. Woo! I'm guessing it's just gonna go like that. So this is your rod for the parking pawl. They said that is a mother to line up, but what I've learned is you can take it, push it all the way over, and bring it back about right there, and it should line up. So let's get this heavy thing. All right, everything, all our hopes and dreams been leading up to this. Man, that's rough on the shoulder. There we go. That's not so bad. Okay. All the way over a little bit more. Oh, geez. I have to go back with the exhaust at the same time, I reckon. That's gonna make it fun. I better just go and pull that off. That one, 5/8. Hang on. That's where a little impact would be handy. Man, I really should have pulled this off before I got under here, but I didn't know. Man, that's holding it on there good enough now. Maybe I can take these off. All right. Well, that plate's off there. Ow. That hurt. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Sam's Bad Ideas. So, got the overdrive on finally. After about 30 minutes of shaking it like crazy and pushing on it, shaking on it, twisting the output shaft and everything like that. Parking pawl rod was simple. It got lined up perfect. The gears is what didn't want to line up, and they didn't want to move right. Kept moving it, and the next thing I know, it just goes, and I had about that much farther to go. So I had some gloves on. I grabbed a hold of that. I started shaking it and started trying to turn it like that, and finally, all the way on. So overdrive section's on. I'm putting this bracket on for the exhaust because it is simple to get to right now. And it's also, there's a bolt goes through here, and that's what ties into the cross member. So get this on here real quick. And it's time to put a transfer case on. I believe I'm going to stop and eat some lunch or something real quick though before I put that transfer case on. Take a break in the shade. I tell you what, it is a hot one out here today. I don't know why, but every time I decide, hey, I'm going to work on the Jeep today, if it's in the summertime, it's hot. All the days I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to relax here in the AC and do nothing. It's nice and cool outside. So, I mean, that's better than what happens to my dad. My dad, every time he works on something, the wind starts blowing. So, all right, I got that on. Now, I'm gonna break for lunch. We're gonna come back to this. I really hope that works right. I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's nothing extremely difficult. Plug that little sensor back in, maybe. So, let's break for lunch. All right, everybody. So, it's another day. Whenever I got the transfer case put on last night, I realized that I had lost all the nuts to hold the transfer case to the overdrive. So, we're about to test this thing on a closed course, of course. To make sure it kicks into overdrive. I don't have a speedometer right now because the speed sensor wires were too short. So we're gonna test this thing out real quick, and I'll let y'all know how it goes.
But first we gotta start pushing it back.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So got back to the house, thought everything was great. I pulled it forward to back it up, no reverse. So this is what I figured out so far. Did some research. Those 42 REs, there's a snap ring in there, and they're really bad to break. And whenever they break, it doesn't go into overdrive, or it will, but you can't drive in overdrive, and you have no reverse. That's exactly what I've got going on. And unfortunately, that part takes some special tools and stuff that I do not have. So I'm gonna have to call around to some transmission shops tomorrow whenever they open and see how much it'll cost to get them to go in there and change that snap ring for me. I'll probably go ahead and have them check that overdrive piston and make sure it's in spec and everything like that while it's over there. So I failed, but did I really? I don't know. Some things I learned. So if you're doing this swap and everything goes perfectly according to plan, like you did, definitely make sure you do your research on it. I'm thinking, yeah, it's a nice motor, ain't it? I'm thinking that the snap ring was probably broken in that one to begin with because it came out of a transmission. It came off a transmission that had problems, so I'm thinking it was probably already broken. I just didn't know it. But if you do have a good one, then that's how you do it. I'm sure there'll be somebody that's like a transmission genius get on here and tear me apart, but you know what? I'm not a transmission guy. I don't know anything hardly about these. I just do my research and to the best of my ability. Things I learned: the 2-wheel drive shaft won't work. The slip yoke will not make to that transfer case. So yeah, so you'll have to make sure you save your drive shafts. And really, that's about it. Transfer case is heavy. Be careful with that. Be a lot easier if you could put it on a lift or something to where you don't have to roll around on the ground. It is possible to be able to do this 100% in your driveway as long as your overdrive unit is good. Mine turned out it wasn't any good. So now I've got a Grand Cherokee down. It's almost done. So I'm going to close this video out. This has been a long one. Try again here.
Major.
All right, y'all. So it's a fail, but at least y'all know how to do it. If y'all like this kind of stuff, let me know. If anybody knows anything about these transmissions, please drop it in the comments. Let me know. Maybe if y'all are quick enough and comment fast enough, I can fix it myself before I have to send it off to the shop. But until next time, y'all, I'll see you later.